He accepted this role to work with actor Frederick Forrest, who inspired him. Despite his success, he felt that the series forced him into the role of product. He subsequently decided to appear only in films that he felt were right for him. After his early acting experiences, Johnny began to prioritize roles he found more interesting, rather than those he knew would instantly succeed at the box office. His first film release in 1990 was Cry Baby, a musical comedy set in the 1950s. Although it was not a huge box office success upon its release, over the years it has gained its status as a cult classic. 1990 also saw the beginning of Johnny Depp's infamous relationship and collaborations with Tim Burton. Their first collaboration saw Johnny in Edward Scissorhands, alongside Winona Ryder. The film was a commercial and critical success, and began the long association between Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. Another of Johnny's memorable roles from the 90s was in the drama What's Eating Gilbert Grape, in which he starred alongside another upcoming actor of the time, Leonardo DiCaprio. In 1994, Johnny took on his second collaboration with Tim Burton in Ed Wood, a biographical film about one of history's most inept film directors. Johnny has said the film gave him a chance to stretch out and have some fun with acting again. Ed Wood received a positive reception, with many critics noting Johnny's performance, pointing out that he had proved himself as an established certified actor. He was nominated for a Golden Globe for this performance. Johnny Depp starred alongside Al Pacino in the 1997 crime drama Donnie Brasco. To prepare for this role, Johnny spent time with the real-life Joe Pistone, on whose memoirs the film was based. Donnie Brasco was a commercial and critical success, and is considered one of Johnny's finest performances.
He gave him his trust.
You gotta get rid of that mustache and get yourself a pair of pants. Just like me.
He loved him like a son.
Nobody can touch you because I represent you. Keep your nose clean, follow the rules, be a good earner, and maybe one day when they open the books, you become a wise guy.
But he never knew the truth.
There's a war going on in that mafia family, and that is where Joe is undercover.
Donnie!
The end of the 1990s saw Johnny take on further memorable roles in the film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, as well as another collaboration with Tim Burton for the period film Sleepy Hollow. Critics have described the characters he plays as iconic loners. Johnny's ability to embody all of the different characters he plays makes for a spectacular show on screen and proves his diversity as an actor. Johnny Depp began a relationship with French actress and singer Vanessa Paradis, whom he met while filming The Ninth Gate in France in 1998.
Have you ever seen someone across the room and had that feeling of true love at first sight?
Yeah, we've been together about 11 years and we have 2 children.
What happened when that...
I saw a back from about 30 yards away. I saw a back and a neck. And it turned around suddenly and looked at me. I was stupefied. And then it was over.
They have 2 children, daughter Lily Rose Melody Depp, born in 1999, and son John Christopher Depp III, known as Jack, born in 2002. He stated that having children has given him a real foundation, a real strong place to stand in life.
I mean, I think I was making choices back then for my kid so that when I was all dried up and burned out in this business, that my children would have something to be proud of, or hopefully be proud of one day. They can watch it and say that the dad did, good work for a little while.
In 2003, Johnny Depp stepped into what would become one of his most iconic roles. Walt Disney Pictures announced a new adventure film, Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, and Johnny was playing the now infamous Captain Jack Sparrow. The film was a worldwide success, and Johnny earned widespread acclaim for his comic performance as Captain Jack, also receiving a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Captain Jack was basically how I saw the character was a sort of weird combination between a 18th century rock and roll star, i.e. Keith Richards, and then Pepe Le Pew, who was skunk. Kind of a skunk, basically.
The character of Captain Jack Sparrow is adored by fans who became instantly obsessed with his comical mannerisms and bizarre personality. Studio executives had at first been conflicted about his portrayal of the character, but clearly, Captain Jack is very popular with audiences. Pirates of the Caribbean became iconic and one of Disney's best-loved action and adventure films, with its popularity giving the creators incentive to begin work on a sequel. In 2005, Johnny Depp once again collaborated with Tim Burton in a new take on a classic story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In true Tim Burton style, the film had a slightly dark plot, keeping in theme with his usual creepy style. Johnny played Willy Wonka, a very different type of character to any he had played before.
Once I found him, it was okay. You know, all the sort of elements combined would get you there, but it was the trick was finding him, and Tim and I had talks early on, you know, of what this Wonka might be, you know, where he might be coming from, and which were very, very helpful. Those discussions, like talking about children's show hosts, like that we you know seen as kids, you know, who talk there's this bizarre kind of speech pattern, you know, rhythm that's very melodic and kind of stressful, you know. Hello children, how are you today? You know, that sort of thing became like the foundation for the guy, and then I don't know, you started thinking about, you know, other things like game show hosts and stuff like that. So yeah, once I found him, it was pretty easy to get there every day.
The way his character was styled has now become memorable as the look of Willy Wonka, the one that children will often dress up as.
One of the more interesting sequences to film was when Tim locked us in the great glass elevator, suspended, you know, 100 feet in the air, you know, very, very hot, you know, children, and that kind of thing. And then having to, like, imagine, you know, what Fudge Mountain looks like. And and, you know, the sheep being sheared. So, yeah, that was a kind of an obtuse experience, but, yeah.
Johnny Depp brings some amazing work to this role, from the voice he puts on to over-the-top actions. His ability to push everything to its absolute limit makes it such a fun performance to watch.
Yeah. Enjoy.
The fact that Willy Wonka's backstory featured quite heavily throughout the film gave it an unusual twist to the classic children's story. Getting an idea of where this wacky personality comes from was certainly interesting. This film was followed by another Burton collaboration in 2005, where Johnny voiced the character of Victor Van Dort in the stop-motion animated film Corpse Bride. 2006 saw the long-awaited Pirates sequel, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. Audiences couldn't wait to see Johnny reprise the role of Captain Jack Sparrow. And according to several surveys at the time, this was the main reason many people went to see the film in cinemas.
When we did the first one, we thought we'd put everything we could think of, a talking parrot and a monkey and skeleton, sword-fighting skeletons. But then we started going into the sort of mystical history of the ocean, and we came up with things like Davy Jones and the kraken or kraken, depending on who you talk about, the sea creature. There's more adventure, there's more action. We had a bigger budget, so we got to have more fun.
The sequel also introduced Captain Jack's biggest rival, Davy Jones, played by actor Bill Nighy.
Oh, you have a debt to pay. You've been captain of the Black Pearl for 13 years. That was our agreement.
Technically, I was only captain for 2 years, then I was viciously mutinied upon.
Then you were a poor captain, but a captain nonetheless. Have you not introduced yourself all these years as Captain Jack Sparrow?
Dead Man's Chest was closely followed by another sequel, Pirates of the Caribbean: At World's End, in 2007. Both films were box office successes.
Well, this one you get everything explained to you that was left so kind of infuriatingly hanging last time. So everything is neatly, dovetailed and resolved, and you get to see why Davy Jones is actually, surprisingly, a rather decent, tender, loving guy. No, unfortunately, he remains a maniac. But you at least get to see what happened to him and why he's so angry and intense.
Fans were worried this was the last they'd see of Captain Jack. The character that Johnny developed so in-depth, Captain Jack Sparrow, is appreciated worldwide. And Johnny regularly attends charity events for children's hospitals dressed as the infamous character to surprise and bring joy to the patients. In 2007, Johnny Depp took on the role of murderous barber Sweeney Todd for his sixth film with Tim Burton. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, was developed from the original 1979 stage musical, and although Johnny was not a fan of the musical genre, he had grown to like the tale's treatment.
Who's in the chair? Come on! Sweeney's waiting. I want you, pleaders.
You, sir! Too, sir. Welcome to the grave. I will have vengeance. I will have salvation.
Ever nice. May the good Lord smile on you.
Although he had performed in musical groups, Johnny was initially unsure that he would be able to perform the role, which required him to sing. He recorded demos and worked with his old bandmate Bruce Whitkin to shape his vocals without a qualified voice coach. Starring alongside fellow Tim Burton veteran Helena, Johnny won a Golden Globe for his performance and was once again nominated for an Academy Award. Johnny Depp reunited with director Terry Gilliam for the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus in 2009, in which Johnny, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell each played the character initially portrayed by their friend Heath Ledger, who died before the film was completed. All three actors gave their salaries to Ledger's daughter, Matilda. Film Public Enemies, in which he portrayed real-life gangster John Dillinger.
Dillinger was basically a guy who was public enemy number one, but for me, myself, I never saw him as an enemy of the public. I always thought of John Dillinger in a way as a 1930s version of the Robin Hood.
What is it exactly you do for a living?
John Dillinger of banks.
That's a serious thing to say to a girl you just met.
I like baseball, movies, good clothes, fast cars, and you. What else you need to know?
Deeper way, I think that Johnny's done some of the most brilliant work that that I've seen of any actor, and particularly Depp. And it's the inside is exposed, and I like him playing this kind of a character, a tough guy, a real man. And so I mean, there's really there's Johnny and maybe one other person which I won't name, but if they didn't do it, I don't think I'd have done the movie.
I am declaring United States of America's first war on crime.
Your task will be to get John Dillinger. Are you up to that task, Agent Bevis?
Absolutely, sir.
You know, it's hard killers.
Play a game, Mr. President. It's called Spin the Dial.
That's your money, mister?
Yes.
We're here for the bank's money, not yours. Put it away.
Oh, the whole country thinks you're a damn hero.
Robbing banks is getting tougher.
We're having too good a time today. We ain't even thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you ought to.
Put some clothes on this.
Johnny, how long does it take you to go through a bank?
About 1 minute, 40 seconds. Flat. Well, here's a man who killed Pretty Boy Floyd.
The only way that you would leave a jail cell is when we take you out to execute you.
Michael Mann was saying that he was looking forward to getting you away perhaps from the more whimsical characters and getting you to play a tough guy, because he said that Johnny Depp is a tough guy. So was it nice getting your hands a bit dirtier?
Well, you always try and get your hands as dirty as possible. In any case, well, sure. I mean, it was nice to tackle a character like this. I don't think it's anything I've done before, which is part of the excitement.
The next Depp-Burton collaboration was Alice in Wonderland in 2010.
It's your 7th collaboration with Tim Burton. Is there anything you will not do for this man?
No, I would absolutely do anything for the guy, without question. Wouldn't matter.
He played the Mad Hatter, alongside other A-list stars Helena Bonham Carter, Anne Hathaway, and Alan Rickman.
I wanted the Hatter to, something like Tim and I early on were talking about, if this guy were actually made up of different people, they would be the extreme sides of these people. So I wanted to go extremely kind of dark and dangerous with the Scots accent. So I hope I arrived there. So my kids actually saw the film, and because I haven't, so I send them out there in the front lines. No, they saw it and loved it, absolutely adored it, went crazy, quoting things from it, and just thought it was amazing. Loved every character, and weren't freaked out by it whatsoever.
This role once again showed Johnny's amazing skills as a character actor, developing the Mad Hatter into a larger-than-life role.
He was another one that I felt very strongly about how he should look, what his behavior was like, and that he shouldn't be just very simply throwing a rubber ball into a room and letting him go nuts, and just to sort of for laughs and stuff. I thought that there should be some other side to him, some degree of damage, some trauma in there. So he's a bit damaged. And I more than anything, again, to use the word luck again, because I feel so lucky to have, to get away with it, because each time out of the gate, there's always somebody that comes around and says, "Oh, Jesus, what's he doing now?" So you kind of just feel, you've in a weird way, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you've sort of infiltrated the enemy camp on some level, and you made it through unscathed. So my approach to the character, it was just the idea of trying to find those places inside where to go from extreme sides of personality. So one minute you're at full capacity rage, and then the next minute you've dropped into some kind of horrific, tailspin of fear, and then you go to some very, great height of levity, and that was just, what I tried to do within scenes as much as I could, find the right moments for him.
The following year saw the release of the fourth installment in the Pirates series, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, much to the surprise of fans.
You could guide an expedition. You are Jack Sparrow. There should be a captain in there somewhere.
With all the characters you play, I mean, at least for me, with all the characters I've played, they're still pretty close to the surface. I mean, they're still, each and every one, relatively accessible. You're right, though, some of them you have to kind of work up to, and other ones just come a little bit easier. Captain Jack, certainly having played him now 4 times, he arrives pretty quickly. He arrives a little too quickly, but in fact, he arrives in life a lot. Dropping your kids off at school, and he'll just show up.
Jack Sparrow, it's his invention, it's his series. He's made it a success along with a lot of other talented people behind him and with him. So it's his to champion and hopefully carry on.
The fountain is the prize. Mermaid waters, that should be our path.
Steady as she goes.
What's your play, Jack?
Warning, we're taking the ship. It's nothing personal.
Parro, ven aquí o te arranco la cabeza!
You might be better off, you just... Stay out of it.
The crew are amazing, the sets, the attention to detail, the costumes and the makeup makes our job really easy to do.
You always feel that responsibility and you feel grateful, for great people like them to give me an opportunity to be part of it. I felt very welcome and I enjoyed every minute of it.
There'll be dangers along the way. Firstly, mermaids, zombies, Blackbeard, the pirate all pirates fear.
If I do not make it to the fountain, neither will you. Is that it?
I think so.
It has begun again! Are we not king's men?
How is it we can never meet without you pointing something at me?
There's the Jack I know.
Fight to the bitter end! You know that feeling you get when you're standing in a high place? Sudden urge to jump? I don't have it. Did everyone see that? Because I will not be doing it again.
The only responsibility, really, I think, is you have is to deliver something that's fresh each time, something that's new, or at least to attempt that, and to the real responsibility is to entertain them, to try and make them laugh, That's really it. Already starting out as a pirate, you're not on good footing in terms of, making an impression. Because a pirate that's too good, he'd probably be thrown out, wouldn't he? Thrown overboard. I think our only responsibility, my only responsibility, is just to try and invent, new situations, new bits and pieces that entertain,
The film featured new cast members who hadn't appeared in the earlier films. Creating this installment of the Pirate series was again a box office success.
It's funny how this thing has, how the films have been accepted and how the characters have been accepted. And you think back, when we first started out on Pirates 1, it was very simple. It's just like any other character. You just sort of grab bits and pieces and out comes this kind of weird little stew you've created, And so what I'm saying is it's like none of us have done anything really different other than just kind of create these characters, and then boom, whatever happened. And it's the first time I was ever offered the opportunity to, say, hey, there's a couple more possibilities, or there's a few more bits to mine, in terms of the character. And it's just so much fun to, get away with things that you're not normally allowed to get away with, to be totally irreverent, to play as absurd as you like. It's a very special opportunity.
In 2011, Johnny Depp worked on a new animated film in which he voiced the title character, a lizard, in Rango. The film had a worldwide appeal and showed Johnny could still create magic from behind a camera, just using his voice to develop a lovable character. Johnny then returned to Hunter S. Thompson's work in a film adaptation of the novel, The Rum Diary, which also became the first project undertaken by his production company, Infinitum Nihil.
He found this novel, and the novel got published 40 years after it was written, and then asked me to have a go at the screenplay for it, which I did. I am a screenwriter, that's what I do. And then, to my amazement, he said, okay, now you can direct it. And I was very resistant to that at first, but it's pretty cool being bullied by a world's #1 film star. He said, no, you're doing it, and phoning up, you're doing it. It's his face on the screen, his risk, not mine. I mean, if the film is a complete failure, it's Johnny on screen, not me,
It was a book that almost never happened. I mean, weirdly, it was something that I accidentally located when I was going through the manuscripts of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Hunter in his war room, and we sat down and started reading the thing, cross-legged on the floor, and Hunter said, "Yeah, we should make this into a film," And I said, "Yeah, maybe you should publish it first."
He is sensationally professional and talented actor, but he's also a great painter and a great musician, and he's got a wonderful library, and I'm a bibliomaniac. I collect the same writers that he does. So there was an immediate symbiosis between us on that level, in that first time we met, we sat there all afternoon talking about Verlaine and Baudelaire, so that was all good stuff.
We worked very hard together to try to get it done. And because it was such a long shot at that time, the two of us kind of, doing some sort of unexpected tap dance to try to get money for the film, it didn't work very well. And then, we kept pushing forward. And then 2005, Hunter made his exit. And after that, it suddenly, after we'd gotten Bruce on board, we pushed it through. But I mean, 14 years, 14 years to get this thing made.
So it's been a labour of love for you.
Of course. It was Hunter's last, one of his last dreams, so I had to make it come true, There was no other way. Very. I mean, there's a little, a bit more responsibility in terms of you're playing someone who you knew and loved, but an earlier version, an earlier version where he had not yet found the avenue for the rage or the voice for the voice itself.
And did it get quite emotional at times?
Of course.
Thank you.
Because you're serving your best friend, who's not there with you.
Very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Your last one.
In 2012, Johnny Depp starred in his 8th film with Tim Burton, Dark Shadows, alongside Michelle Pfeiffer and, of course, Helena Bonham Carter.
I think it's one of Tim's, finest yet again. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better as a filmmaker and as an artist. Well, I certainly haven't gotten tired of working with Tim. I don't think I ever would. It's always fresh, it's always new, it's always different. So it feels like the first time every time.
The film was based on the 1960s Gothic television soap opera of the same name, which had been one of his favorites as a child.
Well, it was tricky because, I mean, not a lot of people know it. I mean, there was a group of us, like, Johnny or Michelle Pfeiffer and others, but it wasn't a big group. I mean, other countries didn't know about it. So we just tried to do what we loved about the show and not have it be reliant on anybody knowing what the show was?
You know, my twist and Tim's twist on the vampire. I mean, and certainly the base ingredient was Jonathan Frid. You know, he was wonderful in the role, and there was no way to escape the sort of beauty that he
So there was no
contributed.
political context.
No political context. No.
You want to wear a fake nose in your fucking
The same year, Johnny Depp and his 21 Jump Street co-stars, Peter DeLuise and Holly Robinson, briefly reprised their roles in cameo appearances in the series' 2012 feature film adaptation.
Hey, look, no, man, look, we know what it's like being undercover. Metro Police Jump Street Division.
Yeah. Come on, you guys are Jump Street?
Yeah.
That's funny because we were actually Jump Street.
What? That's
yeah.
crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He also announced the split from his wife, Vanessa Paradis, but the pair are still close friends. Johnny Depp's next starring role, as Tonto in The Lone Ranger, was not well received by the public or the critics.
I had a ball. You know, working with Army was the gas. You know, the guy is he's very funny, he's very talented. He's a really good guy. And we got on like a house on fire. So, which I think comes through on screen.
Absolutely, yeah. What do you think audiences can expect from this take on it? Because there's a different sort of take on Tonto in particular.
Well, I think, the interesting thing about this particular, let's say, incarnation of the Lone Ranger is that it's totally different than the first. I mean, it's got this sort of the mainstay kind of elements, but the majority of the story is very, very different. And it puts Tonto in a place where he should have never been in the first place, which is the sidekick. Tonto is no longer the sidekick. He's more the sort of the Lone Ranger's kind of spirit leader, if you want, or a spirit walker.
The film was a box office bomb that caused Walt Disney Studios to take a $190 million loss. In 2012, Johnny was listed as the highest paid actor in the Guinness Book of World Records for earning a total of $75 million in 2011. That great amount of money was earned thanks to his most financially successful films, Pirates of the Caribbean and Alice in Wonderland, each grossing $3 billion and $1 billion, respectively. In 2015, Johnny took on the lead role in Black Mass, which earned him his third nomination for the Best Actor SAG Award.
It becomes everything, once you're able to actually see the character. And we did 5 or 6 tests with my makeup artist to get it to the point where it was just as perfect as we can get. And not only the fact that it aids in bringing that character to life, it was quite interesting to see the reactions from some of his former associates. Some of them were quite freaked out.
Really?
They were extras sometimes, and they would be in the scene, and afterwards they were, a bit freaked out.
A bit close for comfort.
I think, it was sort of like seeing Whitey Bulger 30 years ago.
He plays James Whitey Bulger, the head of the Winter Hill Gang, who dealt drugs and ran an extortion racket on the streets of inner-city Boston in the 80s as an FBI informant.
It was a conscious decision to sort of combine my approach to a character with Scott Cooper's style of filmmaking. He's really he's really different. This is only his third film. I mean, if you think about it, it's only his third film, and the guy is just brilliant. He's just brilliant. So I've been a fan of his movies, his other 2 movies, And he's what's beautiful about him is he has no fear. You know, he's not afraid to take chances. He's not afraid to do a very large sort of scene in one shot. And that sort of bravery is missing. You know, you used to have Hal Ashby and people like that who did that. But,
Something different in the film industry then.
Yeah, no, he's got a radical voice, I think, and I'm really appreciative of it. Well, I mean, anytime that someone, that people take notice of something you've done. Although, I mean, my process hasn't changed at all. You know, my process is the same as it's ever been. But of course, yeah, no, it's really nice to hear that people responded to it.
Critics praised his role and said it was exciting to see him back on form. In this same year, he also starred alongside Gwyneth Paltrow in Mordecai, an adaptation from the novel series. Johnny played Lord Charlie Mordecai, an art dealer and swindler who races to recover a stolen painting rumored to contain a code that leads to lost gold.
The first time I read it, I thought, it could never, ever be a movie. It's too much. In fact, you realize there's like 7 movies in the trilogy. You could make at least 5 movies in the trilogy. These different subplots.
I am Lord Charlie Mordecai, respected by all who know me slightly.
Excellent choice, sir.
Man down! I am an art dealer, an aficionado. My wife, Joanna, my only
I
true...
see how you secret agent men run the world.
I'm afraid I shall have to put my foot down, darling.
Sorry.
With your permission, of course.
Also in 2015, Johnny married Amber Heard, his co-star from The Rum Diary. This relationship would go on to fall apart very publicly and be the source of grueling court cases. In 2016, Johnny Depp reprised the role of the Mad Hatter in Tim Burton's Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. The film had been a huge success, which warranted a sequel, which did just as well.
I mean, the fun certainly, you know, to be able to get back into that state, to be able to explore a little bit more about the character, to explore the possibilities, other layers, essentially. You know, see the Hatter, that's the word, it's fading towards death.
Johnny had also been secretly cast to play Dark Wizard, Gellert Grindelwald, in a cameo appearance in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them in 2016, the first installment of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which is considered a prequel to the wizarding world of Harry Potter. His name was not mentioned in the promotional materials, and his cameo was only revealed at the end of the film. In 2017, he also reprised his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in the 5th installment of the Pirate series, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. In the US, it was less popular with audiences than the previous installments, but had a good box office return internationally. Johnny Depp's last film release of 2017 was the Agatha Christie adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express, in which he was part of an ensemble cast. In 2018, Johnny Depp starred in City of Lies as Russell Poole, an LAPD detective who attempts to solve the murders of rappers Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G.
Biggie didn't have Tupac killed.
The facts point to something more here.
If we could prove a connection between Cop and Biggie's murder, it would not only break the LAPD,
It would ruin the city.
The film was originally set for release in September 2018, but was pulled from release schedule 1 month before. It was later screened out of competition at the Noir Film Festival in Italy, but has not been released elsewhere. However, there are now rumors of a 2021 release date. Johnny Depp's last film release of 2018 was Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, the sequel to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, in which he reprised his role as Grindelwald, who becomes one of the main focuses of the plot. Johnny portrayed photographer W. Eugene Smith in the independent film drama Minamata, which premiered at the Berlin Film Festival in 2020 and was released in early 2021 after being delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I've always had a kind of a strange fascination with Eugene Smith, W. Eugene Smith. Initially, the photographs, of course, but then when I'd read a bit about his life and what he'd gone through, what he'd experienced, what he sacrificed to capture those moments, to capture those photos. I was also fascinated by the fact that he was known as W. Eugene Smith, and I've heard the story that whenever anyone he would be, at times curmudgeonly, in bad mood or whatever was going on in his mind, and they'd say, what does the W stand for, Gene? And he'd say, wonderful. Wonderful Eugene Smith. And then, of course, the work that he and Eileen did in Minamata is monumental. I mean, it was quite a ride for them. Very dangerous, very so dedicated. So they did not jump ship, because between actor and camera, there's a strange dance that you do when scenes aren't particularly blocked out exactly to where he doesn't know where I'm gonna go. I don't know where he's gonna go. In certain shots, there's a kind of beauty in that, in the organic nature of that dance between actor and operator, or the eye, which is Benoit. Incredible work.
The film follows Eugene Smith, an American photographer who documented the effects of mercury poisoning on the citizens of Minamata, Kumamoto, Japan.
You start to learn, you start to check in, you read about him a little bit. This is years and years ago. Then you work with photographers, like I worked with Mary Ellen Mark for many years, over the years, and she had known him at one of the photo, might have been...
Probably Magnum.
Magnum. I think it was Magnum. And you find out these great stories, that he was just there. There was a side to him that wouldn't care. He just, I don't care, and he's just moving forward. But there was a side of him, and he could be quiet, he could bite, and he could be rough. But the deal with, I think, with Eugene Smith, ultimately what I walked away with, especially after talking to other photographers who'd known him and stuff, that he was totally unpredictable, multifaceted, quite bitter, quite curmudgeonly, and prickly, but that was because the heart was in there and it was too close to the surface. So it was challenging, because you owe a great deal of responsibility to these people.
Prior to his acting career, Depp was a guitarist and has later featured on songs by Oasis, Iggy Pop, Aerosmith, and more. He played guitar on the soundtrack of his films Chocolat and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and has appeared in music videos for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Lemonheads, Avril Lavigne, and Paul McCartney.
Collaborations as well. Johnny Depp.
Well, he came in at the end of a song. You know, we went to LA to do this record. The whole band was hanging out, and that's where you would meet somebody like him. And I'd known him from before and just invited them down to the studio. He's a big fan of Joe's and a bunch of other people, too.
He's a good guitar player, isn't he?
I say what?
He's a good actor.
He's a great guitar player.
Yeah, you ever seen the movie Chocolate? Yeah, well, that's him. That's really him playing. You know, like in the movies, they can fake it, and you can tell when you watch him play in that movie. He's playing. That's the real deal.
Yeah.
But also, he jammed with us at the Hollywood Bowl in this the last gig and the last tour, and he wanted to play on Train Kept It Rolling, and it's on the DVD and it's on the deluxe version, so you can really get a chance to hear him cut loose.
In 2015, he formed the supergroup Hollywood Vampires with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry. The band also includes Bruce Witkin, his friend from the 1980s band, The Kids.
Well, it started out right here. We did Dark Shadows, and I was in the movie with him, and one night we were going to go play the 100 Club. Just my band was going to go down and just be a bar band. No theatrics, nothing. We're just going to go and somebody yells out Brown Sugar, we'll play it. You know, we're back in the USSR, okay. You know, and I said, Johnny, come down and play with us. So he comes down, brings his amp, and he's a good guitar player, really a good guitar player. He started out being a guitar player and became an actor, and then we took it another step, and I said, what if we paid tribute to all of our dead drunk friends? All the guys we used to drink with. And we had a drinking club called the Hollywood Vampires.
The band made their live debut at the Roxy in Los Angeles in September 2015, and has since done 2 world tours in 2016 and 2018. Their second studio album, Rise, was released in June 2019 and consists mostly of original material, including songs written by Johnny. In 2020, Johnny Depp released a cover of John Lennon's Isolation with guitarist Jeff Beck and stated that they would be releasing more music together in the future.
I enjoyed the process. I like making films. I like finding moments. I like creating moments. I like the idea of chance. I like the process.
Johnny Depp has made a long, successful career for himself in Hollywood, ultimately becoming one of the most recognizable names in the industry.
I mean, he's such a down-to-earth, easygoing, really nice human being, as well as being gorgeous to look at.
According to Johnny himself, the exciting part is doing the work, immersing himself in the character, and putting everything into his performance. His ability to totally transform into the role he is playing, be it a pirate, a man with scissors for hands, or an old-time gangster, Johnny Depp always leaves us visibly awestruck, knowing that no one else could have done the role he played. Johnny Depp is a proud father, an acclaimed actor, all on his own terms. In an industry where most A-list leading men have chosen to stick to muscled-up superheroes, gun-toting action men, or love-struck romantic leads, Johnny himself continues to rule all genres, succeeding in each and more. How many characters can Johnny Depp keep inside himself? And is it safe to do so? The legacy of Johnny Depp is sure to continue.